What is an Autopen? Early Monday morning, on a post on his social media site, President Trump claimed that Joe Biden's pardons for the members of the House January 6th committee are invalid due to the former president's use of an Autopen. No, they're invalid because of the Constitution, Article 2, Section 2.
They weren't there. Yeah. They were
Sorry.
They were not charged with anything prior to the dictator-in-chief leaving office.
So this individual, Lisa Rubin, is a notorious
Bolshevik.
It's in the last name. Drink.
Before I was a lawyer, says Lisa Rubin, I was a congressional aide, so I've used an Autopen before. It's essentially a machine set up to mimic someone's signature exactly. It's often used when an office holder or someone else has to sign so many documents that it would be impracticable for them to do so by hand. I know this to be true, discussed at the beginning of the show with corporate law. Fairly common thing.
But you should not be signing so many pardons that you need a fucking Autopen.
There's that. There's being out of the country. I mean, I could see not having to do this 1,000 times. That's going to hurt. So he needs to be present while the Autopen does its thing.
I'm cool with that.
I would say that should be a stricture on that. But in many of the cases, particularly with the January 6 pardons that Lisa Rubin mentions here, okay, no charges were yet brought. Therefore, Article 2, Section 2. In 2005, the Office of Legal Counsel at the Justice Department, which basically serves as the Mother May I division of the agency, clarified a president's use of the Autopen, issuing an opinion that it was within the executive's constitutional powers to sign a bill via Autopen at their own direction. A pardon, by the way, is not a bill. It specifies a bill here, which is also an interesting point. We emphasize that we are not suggesting that the president may delegate the decision to approve and sign a bill, only that having made this decision, he may direct a subordinate to affix the president's signature to the bill. Standard operating procedure for any corporation. Okay. The number of authorizations that goes across a CEO's desk via their secretary, always via their secretary. Some CEOs have like 50 secretaries and then like one queen secretary.
The queen bee?
Never, ever, 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 ever piss off the queen secretary.
Yeah. That's bad.
Yeah. By extension, the president shall also be able to direct that a pardon should be issued under the Autopen. No, that is a bad assumption, counselor, and you know this perfectly well. You are speculating.
But it's MS.
Objection,
NBC.
Speculation.
MSNBC.
Objection, speculation.
Liars.
Yes, they are. By extension, a president should also be able to direct a pardon to be issued under an Autopen. No. There should be no distinction between a president's powers to sign and authorize a piece of legislation.
Objection, speculation.
A piece of legislation and their pardon power. I would also argue that a president's argue all you like, counselor, you're wrong. A president's power with respect to pardons is actually greater than their role in signing a piece of legislation, which is why they should at least be present for the signing.
Correct.
I get not being able. Your hand is going to cramp. You signed 20 or 30 documents.
But there should be a record.
Yes.
If, like, okay, President Biden, we're going to be signing XYZ pardons today. Are you aware? And are you cool with it?
Yep.
Always just email back, yes. And they would have a case. Or if
I agree.
I want to see those records.
I agree. This article here is just Rubin speculating on a bunch of shit. It's a total piece of garbage. We need to check the background there. Sometimes Jimmy Bones starts.
He's not on yet.
I know he's not on yet. You can see it.
Yeah, he usually shows in around 9:10, 9:15.
Okay. Keep an eye on that for me.
I will.
Rubin speculates more. So if it's constitutionally valid for a president to sign a piece of legislation by Autopen, there should be no impediment to them doing so with a pardon. This is speculation and wishful legislation on the part of Rubin here. You can't do these things. It does not work that way. If it's not in the law, if it's not in the act, if it's not in the code, then it's not.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Unless there's a clause there that says, and also any other documents that the president might have to sign. Then you've got an argument. But if it does not say can use an Autopen to sign a pardon, then it doesn't say that. That's how it works. That's the whole point of law. If it's not in the law, it's not in the law.
Well, my opinion is this. If you are going to be doing big governmental muscle movements, you need to be present and sign it with an actual fucking pen. I'm not talking about the low level or the medium level shit. You can always delegate that to your drones, no problem.
Yeah.
You can always give them the memo and they could use the Autopen, because when you retire from the military with 20 years or greater, you're going to get a certificate signed by the president saying that you were a good boy and you retired from, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard.
Well, see, now that's an appropriate use of an auto pen
Yes,
right there.
that's
Because
totally good.
how many guys a day retire?
A lot.
A lot. A couple thousand, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a valid use for an auto pen. All of my big things, like when I graduated from the MI Corps and some of the other stuff, those got auto penned.
Yeah, I don't even keep those around anymore.
I just have them because somehow I didn't lose them.
Well, you notice how I don't have an I love me wall with all of my bells and whistles?
Yeah, you don't have an I love me wall.
No, fuck
Why
it.
don't you have an I love me wall?
I have swords.
That's what. What? Say that again.
I have swords
I have swords. Okay.
because I'm a warrior.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just fucking paper. Nobody fucking cares. I'm out of the military. It's nothing. It doesn't count anymore.
I have a couple of cool plaques.
Yeah.
I have like 3 cool plaques that I keep up.
Yeah.
No, because they look cool though.
Yeah. I got one cool plaque. Then
Yeah.
it's a razor sharp battle axe.
Okay. Yeah. See, there you go. It's a
It
cool
says-
looking plaque.
Best NCO ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Cool looking plaque. I've got like 3 cool looking plaques. All of my other shit's in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
I just know that I still have it.
Mine's all in a box.
One day they're going to dig up our boxes and go, who the fuck were these? What the fuck is? Oh my God.
Yeah.
More than likely, our stuff's just going to end up on the
It's gonna
curb.
get shredded.
Yeah, it's going to end up on the curb. But if somebody should have happened to go through it, they would have had an amusing time. Anyway, back to where we were. In the same post, Trump also claimed, without evidence, okay, counselor, that Biden did not know anything about these pardons. While the Constitution does not allow a president to revoke a pardon, it appears Trump may direct his Justice Department to carry out an investigation into this matter. That means if you're one of these pardon recipients, the question now becomes, how do you prove that the then president directed the use of an auto pen to sign your pardon? The onus will fall upon those who have received the pardons to prove that their pardon is legitimate. That's where this is likely. Here's the legal argument.
Yes.
Here's the legal argument. But what Rubin clearly dances around and pushes aside is Article 2, Section 2. That unambiguously states that if you haven't committed a crime, you can't have a pardon.
Yeah.
There's the biggest loophole in her argument. But
if you haven't been
what
charged
you
with the
said-
crime yet.
Yeah.
So guess what? All those people that got pardons while Biden was in office and they haven't been charged or even, talked to, they're null and void.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's unambiguous. It's right there in writing. So little Miss Lisa Rubin here is completely out of her depth. If she's a former litigator and she was a Senate aide,
All right, she's a Bolshevik.
she is
I had to say it. I have to drink.
It's there you have it. No, seriously though, if this person was an attorney and a congressional aide and she's saying things like this, it just shows you the level of denial and level of bullshit they're willing to operate in. Because there is no doubt that many of these pardons were issued without a crime having been alleged or a grand jury convened.
Correct.
Which means that Article 2, Section 2 applies. None of what she's saying here even matters.
Well, because she's selling us propaganda.
Yes. All she's trying to do is cast doubt on Trump and paint him as the bad guy because that's what they like.
That's all they got left.
Yes.
That, and they have some mid-level federal judges that are on their side.
Yep. Let's see here. This one actually contains some content that I will share.
Share it.
Because sharing. What is an Autopen at the center of Biden pardon claims? Okay, again with the metadata, but this one actually says a couple of things that are relevant here. Biden pardoned multiple political enemies of the president preemptively. There you have it, including members of the House panel, U.S. Capitol riots, members of his family, as well as Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Milley, right before Trump's inauguration. Biden pardoned multiple political enemies of the president
But none of them been charged with anything.
preemptively. The word preemptively is right there.
You can't do it.
As clear as day. The pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee and political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further notice or effect because of the fact they were done by Autopen. Okay, he may have said that, but the fact is, again, I know I'm beating this dead horse really hard. Article 2,
because it's true. We tell you the truth here.
That's true.
You don't come here to have us lie to you or blow some smoke up your ass.
I may repeat myself a lot, but that's
maybe we go down a rabbit hole here and there and say some army stories. So come on.
The Autopen, do they have a history of use by presidents? Former President Obama used an Autopen multiple times during his, listen carefully to the list, including to sign spending and transportation funding bills. The former president even faced questioning from a House Republican over his Autopen usage in signing a Patriot Act extension. Now, if you've seen the Patriot Act, it's got like 1 million signatures in it.
Yeah.
And I would get using an Autopen on something like that.
I'm going to be honest. That needs to be pulled back and reworked.
No, it needs to be pulled back, period. TSA needs to be disbanded. None of that. So we didn't need any of it.
Fair enough.
We didn't need any of it. And it's already been proven that the 9/11 attacks were pretty much orchestrated by CIA and Mossad. Sorry.
No, I read the book. I got you. That's another show, though. Let's,
yeah, it is another show entirely.
A whole other show.
Rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole number 2.
Is their use legitimate? I've already said that I believe that the use of an Autopen is legitimate. However, in the case of a pardon, I think the president should at least be
in the room
for every single one of them. Memorandum opinion from the Department of Justice's Office of Legal Counsel during the former president George Bush's time in the White House states the president can sign a bill via ordering a person below them to affix the president's signature to it. This is common practice. Again, BBC also reported Autopen signed pardons would not be invalidated by anything under U.S. law. According to the legal experts the outlet talked to. Oh, so the British Broadcasting Company says it's okay.
The BBC. Who gives you the BBC?
For those of you not in the know, this in England is this. Okay. Also, amusing note, this is this in Korea.
Oh, okay.
Never grab a kid's nose in Korea. It really upsets the parents. I saw a guy accidentally do that once. He goes, "Oh, I got your nose." And the parents like, "Oh."
Like, you number 10.
That didn't end well. Anyway, so basically what we've got here with this whole Autopen controversy is a lot of cover-up.
Clusterfuck.
But yeah. Clusterfuck and cover-up by the media. I think President Trump's people could be handling this a little better. I think Article 2, Section 2 should have come out right away. They should have been mentioning that from the get-go and saying that anybody who got a pardon who was not under a grand jury.
I know exactly what he's doing. He's trolling them.
You think he's trolling?
He's trolling them and see what how they're legally going to respond. And then he can properly get his.
By the way, the loud noise that was just outside the window, the weather is warming up in Michigan, and Pop lives right off of a main drag called Van Dyke, which means it's motorcycle season, and Detroit loves its motorcycles.
Yeah, and I am between 10 mile and 8 mile. So there are a lot of people with loud boom boxes and what have you, bass that drive by here all the time.
Ethnically oriented decibel levels?
I would say basketball Americans.
With ethnically oriented decibel levels.
Yes. And they like 2 a.m. I've woke up like boom, boom.
I recall.
I'm like, you son of a fucking bitch.
I lived in the city for quite a while before we finally moved out to the country. At any rate, this whole thing is just absolute madness. I don't think I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, let's just look at what's going on here.
Okay.
All right. Now,
Oh,
we lose $500 billion a year. Just lose it.
Yeah.
Which you cannot run a business and have it stay in business, doing that. They basically fired everyone in USAID. 83 to 87% of the programs are getting basically terminated or shut down. The rest is getting moved under the State Department.
Yep.
And they have found that it's just rife with waste, fraud, and abuse. And they're literally going down the line. They've already gone through the VA. They're going through the IRS. They're looking at the child support stuff. They are going to go through all of the lines of this entire huge bloated government. And if you've ever wondered how the Democrats were able to stay in power for the past 30 years, now we know. They've been stealing our tax dollars through some backdoor craziness to fund the campaigns and what have you through Act Blue or what other NGOs they have to keep.
That's how all the riots were funded.
Yeah. And remember, we talked about all the NGOs that were all the way through South America, all the way up through Mexico. All of those NGOs were basically,
funded by USAID.
USAID, yeah.
Every one of them. And one of the other things that our friendly Democrat Bolsheviks have done is over the past 30 years, they've had 30 years to do this, remember.
Mm-hmm.
They have slowly but surely replaced every manager, every supervisor, every station chief that they can with somebody who is politically compliant,
communist,
or at least will play the game. Exactly. It's communism. That's exactly how it's done.
Mm-hmm. And feminism is communism with tits.
It is feminism is communism with tits and the occasional blowjob.
Yeah. God damn it, Steve, you said it and I just got here.
There, I said it. Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks. Now drink.
True story. At any rate, they have replaced most of the offices, and I'm starting to see a lot of stuff on social media right now where a lot of the satellite offices, like in Austin or in San Diego or in a lot of the big cities, those station managers, those station chiefs for ATF or DEA or INS, because they're ideologically compliant with the previous regime, are now deliberately ignoring Trump and hoping to get away with it.
It's not going to happen.
Just by sheer volume.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. I do have friends in alphabet agencies and law enforcement up there. Mm-hmm. And it is utter pandemonium. They're fucking freaking the fuck out.
Good. What kind of freaking... Come on, you can't just do that to us. It's pandemonium. Let's talk about something.
Because remember the list, the FBI, they're like, I want a list of all of the agents who participated in basically the persecution of Trump in January 6th.
Right.
That's like 40% of the FBI. That is how much of their assets they've used.
Yes, that's exactly.
And you're going to see, somewhere between 10 and 40% of those guys get shown the door.
Yeah.
And some of them will never be able to work in law enforcement ever again. Because if they are fired for cause, which is what's going to happen, they will not be able to get a law enforcement certificate in another state, or at least it'll be very difficult. And if they don't have enough time to drop their papers to retire,
too bad, so sad.
They're out. They're done.
Too bad, so sad.
Yeah, and it's going to happen to the ATF. They're already getting rid of the IRS guys.
Now, should they? This is something that I would like to see. This is part of my wish list. Should that individual who gets dismissed for cause also be a recent immigrant or H-1B holder, I think that person should be booted.
And I think they should lose their qualified immunity as well, so they can be civilly sued. So not only are you going to be out on the street not able to work, but now they're going to be sued civilly, and you'll be begging for sandwiches on the side of the road.
Yeah, or if you're a foreign national,
you're gone.
You're gone, and you get PNG'd too. I want to see PNGs.
Okay.
For those of you not out there in the know out there, PNG is persona non grata. That means if you get deported under
You
a
can't come back
PNG,
ever.
you're done.
You're done. Never coming back. Correct. And like the IRS people are freaking out because some of them just got off of what is that?
I think they do a year of probation.
Yeah, they just got off the probation and they're still getting fired.
That's too bad. So sad.
Yeah. And here's the
Sad.
funny part is the Democrats didn't even raise an eyebrow when we brought on 90,000 IRS agents to audit every swinging dick in the United States. But somehow, when the president gets in there with Doge and wants to audit the auditors, they freak the fuck out.
Why? Gosh.
Because, again,
why? That's strange.
they're using our own money to basically supplant the United States. They don't want a free America.
No.
We have been a thorn in the side of tyrants since the very beginning.
Yes.
And they don't want our train of thought and the way we believe and the way we conduct business to actually spread to other parts of the world. And as long as we exist, they always have to worry about that.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.